From pets with missing limbs to giraffes with bent necks, here are some of the world's most unique animals that nature treated badly, but then lived happy lives. Meet Pig, the pint-sized wonder dog with short spine syndrome. Though images of Pig might make you shout, "That's clearly Photoshop," the condition is a real, rare genetic twist that gives her a super compact body. She's missing part of her spine, several ribs, and even has fused, twisted vertebrae. Only around 30 dogs worldwide are known to have this condition, making Pig truly special. Born in 2013 to a feral mother, she was discovered in the woods one Christmas by Kim Dillenbeck near Atlanta, Georgia, and it was love at first sight. Kim took Pig back home with her to Alabama, and since then, she's gained thousands of fans online. Pig's unusual body comes with some quirks. Her spinal cord splits near her neck, making it basically non-existent, and her hips and joints are rotated the wrong way. Instead of turning her head, she swivels her whole body to look around. Her tiny chest requires meals to be taken slowly, preventing any strain or crowding in her lungs. On top of that, her breathing difficulties cause her to tire far sooner than most pups. But this adorable doggo is not to be pitied.
Goodness. Oh my goodness. You're gonna get all dirty.
She's living her best life with Kim. She loves to play fetch, wrestle, and run around as much as any other dog. As Kim says, Pig doesn't know there's anything wrong with her.
She's correct, sir.
Now this little guy is Quasimodo, a German shepherd also living with short spine syndrome.
I'm just like you. I think that's true. You're just like me.
Found as a stray in Kentucky in December 2015, Quasimodo was first taken to a shelter in Missouri. Then he was adopted by a loving family who immediately spoiled him rotten. Despite his spinal challenges, Quasimodo is playful, affectionate, and gets along wonderfully with his pet siblings. His caretakers document his adventures on the Quasi the Great Facebook page, where his antics have attracted over 600,000 followers worldwide. From daily walks to playful zoomies in the yard, Quasimodo's life is full of energy. I just wonder if any of his superfans mail him dog bones. Say hello to Ronnie, the adorable Bhutanese cow who's redefined small but mighty. At just 20 inches tall and tipping the scales at 57 pounds, she earned the Guinness World Record as the shortest cow ever. Born around August 2019, she was purchased a year later by a farm near Dhaka in Bangladesh. While Bhutanese cows are prized for their meat, her owners soon realized she was way too small for this purpose. Experts believe her diminutive size was linked to genetic inbreeding, a practice increasingly common in modern cattle farming, which can improve milk and meat production. Yet this sometimes comes at the cost of losing genes that protect against infections and mutations. Ronnie's tiny frame made socializing with her full-sized bovine buddies, well, tricky. Imagine walking around a herd of Hulks every day. Unfortunately, she had trouble keeping up with the others and was understandably shy. To keep her safe, she was assigned to her own space on the farm to play around in. But her new peaceful life would soon turn upside down. Ronnie had fame thrust upon her when images of her short stature suddenly went viral on social media. In July 2021, over 20,000 visitors flocked to see her in just 1 week, completely ignoring social distancing rules at the time. She became the world's most famous cow, and possibly the most protected. 3 bodyguards were hired to look after her. Sadly, Ronnie passed away shortly after in August 2021 due to stomach swelling caused by overeating and gas accumulation. Though she may have been small, her brief life made a big impression. And in my opinion, she'll be remembered as one of the cutest animals that ever lived. Now, Ronnie isn't the only brave bovine with size challenges. Keep watching to find out. Well, hello there, cutie. Oh, sorry, wasn't talking to you. I was talking to him. He's soft, cuddly, and irresistible. He's my perfect real-life copy. And for the entire month of May, you can grab our iconic Bartholomew plushie for half price. You heard it right. That's 50% off. Everybody loves him with loads of 5-star reviews backing up the quality. Whether he's sitting on your desk or chilling on your bed, he's a perfect companion. And remember, every plushie is designed by us, and every purchase helps support the channel and keeps the videos coming. This offer only lasts a month though, so if you ever thought about getting one, now's the time. Scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description to grab your Bartholomew while this insane deal lasts. If you ever meet Phineas, you might want to watch your step, because this little ginger cat certainly can't. Finn was born with cerebellar hypoplasia, a neurological condition that makes his coordination and balance, well, a bit like me after one too many drinks. Back in 2016, doctors Daria and Colin Anderson spotted a social media post about a stray mother cat and her kittens. Two of the litter had the condition, also known as wobbly cat syndrome, and the Andersons, with their background in human neurology, couldn't resist giving the runt a forever home. Colin even braved an 1,800-mile flight from Sydney to Virginia in a snowstorm to bring him back. Movie-level drama, right? By 2018, Finn had his own fan base online, and today he's a true social media star with millions of followers on Instagram and TikTok. His missteps are part of his charm, and fans joke that his squeaky scouse meow makes him sound like he's straight out of Liverpool. Cerebellar hypoplasia means Finn's cerebellum, the part of the brain that controls balance and coordination, didn't fully develop. The common cause? An in utero infection from the mother-carrying feline panleukopenia virus, which attacks the cerebellum and prevents it from forming properly. Thankfully, his wobbly walking never slows down his charm. He climbs, plays, and waddles through life with confidence, and it sounds like he's perfectly happy. If you think losing a few teeth ruins your day, well, think again. Jawleen, the Orlando alligator, is here to prove that she can still be fierce and fabulous with only half a jaw. In 2023, she was spotted wandering a Floridian neighborhood missing her top jaw, giving locals quite a surprise. After a resident phoned in about her, Jawleen was rescued and relocated to Gatorland, a wildlife reserve and theme park combo. She subsequently came under the care of Savannah Bowen, who made sure Jawleen got all the TLC a legendary gator could want. And yes, she is named after the song Jolene by Dolly Parton. Her tragic injury was likely the result of a scuffle with another gator, or an unfortunate run-in with a boat propeller. When she arrived at Gatorland, she was skinny, lethargic, and a little wary. But this resilient reptile had already begun healing on her own. With some human help, she put on weight and found some peace, and even made a new best friend. Yep, Jawleen spends most of her time hanging around with an unlikely companion, Nellie the turtle. Hold on a second whilst I melt the cuteness of it all. If it weren't for Gatorland, it's likely Jawleen wouldn't have survived in the wild, unable to hunt and defend herself properly with a missing jaw. Today, she splashes around in her personal pool, roams her private habitat, and rules her domain like a feisty alligator. All that's left is for her to meet Dolly in person. And by the way, there's another awesome alligator coming up too, so don't miss it. With a name as perfectly ridiculous as Chris P. Bacon.
Chris P. Bacon was born without the use of his back.
You just know this little piglet was destined for greatness. Born with a congenital condition that left his back legs useless, Chris got a rough start to life. Heck, he was initially taken to the vet to be put down. But fate, and one remarkably compassionate veterinarian, Dr. Len Lucero, had other plans. Instead of saying goodbye, Dr. Lucero brought Chris home to his farm. A bustling sanctuary filled with goats, horses, dogs, and cats. It was the perfect place for this little piggy to grow up in. To help Chris get moving, Dr. Lucero hatched a brilliant idea: make a makeshift wheelchair. Using K'NEX, the same construction toy pieces that had been lost under your couch for years, he built a tiny cart to support Chris's back legs. In 2013, Lucero posted a video of 10-day-old Chris zooming around on his K'NEX creation. And it went suddenly viral on YouTube. Views piled up, followers flooded in, and Chris became an internet sensation almost overnight. His story even inspired a children's book and became a beacon of hope for families dealing with disabilities. His fame also caught the attention of Walkin' Wheels, an organization dedicated to helping animals with mobility challenges. They generously gifted Chris a proper, custom-made wheelchair designed to support him comfortably as he grew. What started as a rocky beginning turned into a life on wheels, and Chris P. Bacon has rolled through life ever since. There's more animals adorably rolling on wheels to come, so stay tuned. This is Faith, the dog that walks like a human. Born in 2002 in a flea market yard in Oklahoma City, she entered the world without her front legs. Her early days were perilous. Recognizing her malformed body, her mother tried to smother her, but a boy named Reuben spotted her struggling and rescued her, bringing Faith into his home. The tiny pup was sickly and barely able to feed herself, so Reuben's mother, Jude Stringfellow, quit her job to provide round-the-clock care. With careful feeding, constant attention, and endless encouragement, Faith began to grow stronger and defy expectations. Faith learned to walk and run upright on her hind legs, mastering balance with astonishing skill. Her charisma quickly drew attention beyond the family. Faith appeared on national TV shows including Oprah and even graced the Nova space program. She quickly became a symbol of courage and resilience, particularly for military personnel. In fact, she regularly visited injured and returning soldiers. For her service, Faith was honored with the rank of Commissioned Sergeant at Fort Lewis, Washington, in a ceremony attended by 4,000 people. Faith's adventures didn't stop there. She even toured with rock legend Ozzy Osbourne one summer. Now, how many canines can say they've done that? Hell, how many humans? In fact, Faith has her own pet products and has inspired 2 books written by Jude, capturing her story for a wider audience. She ultimately passed away in 2014 at age 11, outliving every expectation of survival. Now, missing 2 legs is bad enough, but one goat coming up later has no legs at all. Snakes usually make me nervous, but looking at Zeke and Angel, I can't help but feel a little affection. This extraordinary Californian king snake was born at the East Bay Vivarium in Berkeley with a bicephalic condition. That's fancy talk for 2 heads on one body, caused by a partial split embryo. This is extremely rare, happening in roughly 1 in 100,000 snake births, and survival past the first feeding is even rarer. Most 2-headed reptiles live only hours or days, making Zeke and Angel's story all the more remarkable. From the moment they hatched, their chances seemed slim. Vivarium staff even took pictures immediately, thinking the snakes might not survive long. Yet against all odds, both heads learned to coordinate their one body, in which they shared internal organs. Caretakers quickly noticed the right head, Zeke, was dominant and handled most of the eating, while Angel, the smaller head, often won the playful tug-of-war debates over which direction to slither. That's definitely some sibling rivalry right there. To top it off, their personalities were described as clumsy but fearless, which sounds just like my Aunt Mildred at an open bar. Over the months, Zeke and Angel became internet sensations. Social media posts, including reels, showing their curious antics went viral, reaching millions of viewers worldwide. At their peak, they measured more than 18 inches and thrived in a custom enclosure designed to prevent their forked necks from getting stuck. California king snakes typically live between 10 to 15 years, but due to their condition, Zeke and Angel passed away just days before their first birthday. Well, they might have been brief visitors to this world, but they sure made history. In 2003, this absolute unit held the Guinness World Record for the largest horn circumference of any steer. Lurch's horns clocked in at a jaw-dropping 37.5 inches, with a total horn span stretching nearly 7 to 8 feet from tip to tip. To top it all off, they weighed 100 pounds each. That's roughly the weight of a standard toilet. Now, imagine carrying one on each ear everywhere you went. Man, talk about drawing the short straw. Lurch was an African Watusi steer,
Wagon wheel Watusi,
a young castrated bull which is primarily reared for meat. The breed is already famous for its oversized horns thanks to their genetics, yet Lurch's genes went above and beyond, practically giving him weapons. Born in 1995 on a Watusi ranch in Missouri, he was adopted as a 5-week-old calf by Janice Wolfe. She's the founder of Rocky Ridge Refuge in Arkansas, a sanctuary dedicated to caring for animals in need. By the age of 2, it became obvious his horns were unlike any others. By adulthood, he had broken his own record, measuring over 38 inches in circumference. Lurch's fame wasn't just local. Word spread internationally, drawing visitors from countries like Vietnam, the UK, Australia, and Japan to Rocky Ridge. It seems like he had great sense of humor, too. I bet he had herds and herds of young cows trying to get a meet and greet. Unfortunately, the very thing that brought him fame came to be his downfall. After living a long and contented life at Rocky Ridge with his animal buddies, Lurch passed away in 2010 from cancer that developed on the base of his colossal horns. Well, he certainly taught us a valuable lesson. If you got it, flaunt it. Stick around and you'll see another curious defect on the tallest animal in the world. Deuce's life didn't exactly start off on the right paw, but he quickly proved that his determination knew no bounds. In 2018, he was found abandoned in a ditch in eastern Kentucky, both left legs broken and severely infected. The injuries were so dire that amputation was the only option. Yet even after losing 2 limbs, Deuce wasted no time showing the world what he was made of. Within 24 hours of surgery, he was up and moving, running and balancing using only his 2 right legs. His resilience and energy earned him the nickname Two-Legged Wonder Dog. Deuce was initially taken in by Camp Gene, a dog rescue shelter, where he learned to navigate the world on 2 legs without any prosthetics or wheelchair support. In 2018, Deuce was adopted by a loving family in Pennsylvania. He now lives alongside his amputee siblings, Cyrus and Popcorn, each missing back legs. Together they form a small and unstoppable squad, serving as therapy dogs to children in hospitals and amputees in rehabilitation centers, spreading joy wherever they go. Despite the early hardships, Deuce thrives in his new home, enjoying playtime, cuddles, and even occasional adventures outside his yard. His story has been shared widely across social media, and alongside his siblings, he's racked up nearly 100,000 followers on Instagram, inspiring countless people with disabilities. Yep, Deuce the Wonder Dog has officially become my hero. In a more extreme case, this disabled dog has had to navigate movement with just 1 leg. Taken in by Safe in Austin Rescue Ranch in Texas, then 4-week-old Halo was born with just 1 working leg. Her back leg was useless and had to be amputated, and her front legs were mere nubs where legs should be. Despite her unique struggles, Halo has since been living contentedly at the rescue ranch, with help from her human friends and trusty prosthetics. See how she runs? This resilient miniature donkey has overcome incredible odds and is now living her dream life. Born in 2013, Bella Burro was rescued from a negligent breeder near Minneapolis after suffering severe frostbite that left her back right leg beyond saving. Without intervention, she would have faced a life of extreme pain, or worse, a lethal fate. Most veterinarians would have recommended euthanasia, but her new family refused to give up on her. After surgery to remove the damaged leg, Bella was fitted with a simple peg leg. This allowed her to walk again, a huge improvement in her mobility and quality of life. In 2015, her journey took another step forward when Orthopets, a company specializing in animal prosthetics, provided her with a more advanced prosthetic leg. This custom device, designed specifically for Bella's size and gait, transformed her mobility. Prosthetics for equines are still rare and costly. The surgery alone ran about $10,000, with the prosthetic costing another $2,500, but the investment was life-changing. Bella quickly adapted, trotting, running, and playing with her 2 best friends, 2 Nigerian dwarf goats. Today, Bella is thriving in a loving environment, enjoying activities she never could have imagined before her surgery, and all is right in the world. Bella may have found her perfect prosthetic, but another animal opted for some awesome wheels to roll around in. Just wait and see. Gemina the giraffe is an towering example of a unique animal with incredible odds. Born in July 1986 in San Diego, she moved to the Santa Barbara Zoo when she was about a year old, seemingly destined for typical giraffe life. But around age 3, zookeepers noticed her neck beginning to bend in an extreme curve, eventually reaching nearly 90 degrees, a truly rare condition. X-rays revealed that her vertebrae appeared fused, though no one could determine the exact cause. Some possibilities included scoliosis, a congenital deformity, or a previous injury. But despite the uncertainty, Gemina adapted impressively. That said, her unusual posture did present some challenges. She had a shorter tongue than other giraffes and reduced peripheral vision, making feeding and navigating her environment slightly more difficult. Yet none of these obstacles stopped her from thriving socially. She was fully accepted by the rest of the herd and participated in all the usual giraffe activities. Caretakers marveled at her ability to live a largely normal life, balancing her long neck while grazing, moving, and interacting with visitors. Not only was she an extraordinary addition to the troop, Gemina would outlive most of them by 6 years, reaching 21. Now this is old for a giraffe in captivity. Ultimately, in 2008, she was humanely euthanized due to illness from advanced age, and her skeleton is on display at the Santa Barbara Zoo. She may not have held her head high in the traditional way, but then again, happiness doesn't always come in a straight line. Sometimes it takes a beautiful curve. Meet Simba, the goat whose ears are so long they could double as a superhero cape. Born in 2022 on a farm in Karachi, Pakistan, breeder Mohammed Hassan Nurejo is the proud owner of this kid, whose ears measure 21 inches each. That's basically the wingspan of a small child. While Guinness World Records doesn't officially track longest goat ears, we all know Simba would win hands down. Those majestic ears aren't all fun and games, though. They can trip him up if he's not careful. So Mohammed keeps him stylish and safe by folding them back or strapping them into custom harness. Simba's genetics come from his Anglo-Nubian side, a breed known for long, bell-shaped ears. But even by those standards, his are ridiculously overachieving. The vet says it might be a thyroid quirk or just a rare genetic mutation. But one thing's for sure, Simba lives a life of luxury with them. As his special favorite, Mohammed lets Simba live inside his house with him. He bottle feeds him, helps him exercise, and showers him with love, while the other 35 goats wait their turn for attention outside. Offers have poured in from Saudi Arabia, Oman, and Bahrain in the thousands, hoping to purchase Simba. But of course, Mohammed loves him too much to give him away, and I doubt Simba would want to leave his perfectly pampered life. He's a prized possession in more ways than one, winning animal beauty contests. Yeah, that's right, Simba really is the GOAT. If you keep watching, another awe-inspiring GOAT is coming up that you don't want to miss. Born in 1997 at Alligator Adventure in South Carolina, Bob hatched with a rare condition called amelia. This is a birth defect that causes missing limbs, and in her case, an entirely missing tail. While that sounds shocking, it's surprisingly not unheard of amongst gators and crocs. In one major study of 550 crocodile embryos, 61 had malformations, and nearly 29% involved limb or tail defects. Scientists also found alligator females older than 30 and younger than 15 had a higher chance of malformation like this. And that's impressive, because a crocodilian tail is kind of a big deal. Tails make up around half of the gator's body length and nearly 28% of its weight. And they're used for swimming, steering, launching out of the water, storing fat, as well as surviving long stretches without food, sometimes up to 2 years. Lose the tail, you lose your motor, your pantry, and your escape plan all at once. In the wild, it would be a serious problem. But Bob has thrived in captivity, adapting to life without her built-in propeller and becoming a fan favorite. In fact, tailless gators often pop up on social media, waddling around like crocodile-doggo hybrids. But seriously, who knew gators could have butts? Duncan Luhu was born in 2013 with severely deformed rear legs, fused into an X shape. They were completely unusable, painfully twisting his spine and even causing incontinence. The only humane option was to amputate them, and Duncan handled it like an absolute champ. Just 1 hour after surgery, he was already up and moving. Prosthetics weren't an option, since he had nothing substantial to connect the prosthetic to, and wheelchairs put too much strain on his front legs. So Duncan did something no one expected. He simply took off on his front 2 legs. He sprinted, played, balanced, and turned heads with a running style that looked more gymnast than dog. I trip over my own feet on flat ground, yet Duncan could outrun most of us on just 2 legs. Of course, moving this way puts extra strain on his body, and it was always likely his joints would wear down faster than normal. But remarkably, Duncan was never in pain. He only dealt with mild tendinitis, an inflammation of the tendons, which was managed with laser treatments and physical therapy. Duncan was cared for by Amanda Geese and Gary Walters of Panda Paws Rescue in Washington State, a sanctuary dedicated to special needs animals. In 2014, they posted a YouTube video of Duncan excitedly racing along the beach. The clip exploded, amassing over 7 million views and turning Duncan into an internet icon.
She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment.
Then came a plot twist. In 2017, while on a family trip in Idaho, their car narrowly avoided a bison. Yeah, a bison. After a rough and tumble crash, Duncan was thrown from the vehicle. Yikes. His family were incredibly worried he was badly or fatally wounded, and they searched throughout the night using his fame to seek help on Facebook. After 17 hours, dozens of volunteers, and a night spent in bear and wolf territory, he was finally found. The little guy was 3 miles away, casually wandering near a rock quarry, completely unfazed. Thank God, I love happy endings. Duncan's already survived amputations, autoimmune issues, and even had his heart stopped twice. Both times, Amanda performed CPR and brought him back. He's one tough cookie. And sadly, he passed away in 2023 at age 10, but not before leaving a huge, heartwarming mark on the world.
So sorry I died. I miss you so much.
This is Whiskey, a Nigerian dwarf goat with one heck of a story. His life began during a brutal winter storm in Tennessee at the start of 2025. And from the moment he was born, he was fighting for survival. Très dramatique. Just hours old, Whiskey was already in danger from the cold. By the time he was discovered, all 4 of his tiny legs were frozen solid from severe frostbite. At 12 days old, weighing barely 3 pounds, Whiskey's condition was already beyond what his original caregiver could manage. He was transferred to Butterfly Valley Rescue and Sanctuary in Kentucky, where his journey truly began. At just 16 days old, he underwent emergency surgery to amputate both front legs. The damage to his back legs was so extensive that in the weeks that followed, they auto-amputated, aka they detached from his body by themselves. Ooh. By the time Whiskey was 1 month old, he'd become a quadruple amputee, an outcome so rare that it's almost unheard of. And yet, this little goat never gave up. Whiskey didn't use prosthetics or a wheelchair. Tragically, in December 2025, Whiskey passed away. He may have been missing 4 legs, but he had more heart, more fight, and more personality than most creatures you'll ever meet. Back in 2012, a 1-year-old stray cat in Chiang Mai, northern Thailand, narrowly escaped a deadly fate after a terrible accident. While chasing a bird on a rooftop, he fell onto a loose electrical wire, connected to a transformer, and was electrocuted. The injuries were devastating. Abel lost his tail, and the damage to his front legs was so severe they had to be amputated. For most animals, that would be the end of the story. But Abel bravely battled on. A kind-hearted local woman, Sriban Vurakul, refused to let him face a harsh life on the streets as a disabled stray. She took him in, nursed him back from the brink, and gave him something he'd never had before: safety. 2 years later, Abel made a full recovery and learned to move through the world in a completely unexpected way. Upright, balancing on his hind legs. Not only did he adapt, he thrived. Abel quickly mastered walking and even began playing with his fellow feline siblings. His rescuers said they called him Abel because he can do everything the other animals can, and watching him in motion, it's hard to disagree. Abel is inseparable from his sister Finfin, a cat who can't use her hind legs, making them a perfectly mismatched pair. The household of 6 cats and 1 dog have become a sensation, amassing over 190,000 followers on Instagram. These days, Abel may not chase birds anymore, but he's perfectly content watching them from the window or on television. Jericho the yak wasn't just any farm animal. He was a bona fide celebrity of the bovine world. Living on a Minnesota farm with Hugh and Melody Smith, this 900 to 1,000 pound gentle giant made history, claiming the Guinness World Record for the longest yak horns. They stretched an astonishing 13.7 feet, a record that still stands. Before joining the Smiths, Jericho belonged to John Hooper, the iconic Yak Man of Minnesota. Legend has it a Tibetan monk once blessed Jericho, after which he was considered sacred. Holy cow! When Jericho officially entered the Guinness books, around 2,000 Tibetan monks turned up to celebrate and bless his achievement. Jericho's jaw-dropping horns were the result of his body producing excess keratin and collagen, the proteins that strengthen horn structure. In Jerry's case, they clearly worked a bit too well. Despite his sacred status, he led a blissfully low-key life among 35 fellow yaks on the Smiths farm. What's more, he sported the habits of a teenager. He loved sleeping in till late, being the center of attention, and getting his hair brushed. Jericho eventually passed away from natural causes in December 2019 at the ripe old age of 21, and left behind a fabulously long-horned legacy. Now, I like to imagine this deer once lived a peaceful, contented life, something straight out of the opening scenes of Bambi. Unfortunately, Bambi goes downhill from that point, and so does this deer's story. It was probably roaming around, eating grass and playing with its friends until someone came along and shot it. Now, the deer didn't perish from the wound, but something very strange happened. See, when the deer was eventually struck down years later by Mr. Stiegel, they found an arrow from the previous shot there inside its rib cage. When the original impact occurred, it broke a few ribs, but the deer's body had used the weapon to heal itself. The thin shaft had acted as a splint, and as the wound healed, the bones grew around it. Isn't the body amazing? Now, this poor deer probably wished it had never ventured out and left its safe stomping grounds, because it got itself quite literally caught between a rock and a hard place. I've had to squeeze through some tight spots before myself, but this guy obviously had no way out. The remains of its carcass in the crevice is a fascinating example of how one wrong turn leads to a slow, self-inflicted end, and acts as a good warning to others. In the same excruciating vein, this terrifying image of a mummified dog will make you never want to go exploring again. The unfortunate creature was given the name Stucky and was found in the 1980s by loggers. They were loading a chestnut oak tree into a truck when they noticed something unusual stuck inside: the mummified remains of a dog. See, in 1960, the dog had run into a hole at the bottom of the tree and somehow climbed its way up 28 feet. Since he was a hunting dog, it's fair to assume he was chasing something up the tree like a squirrel or perhaps a bird. As the tree narrowed at the top, the dog became stuck, and no one ever pulled him out. He passed away inside and remained stuck there for 20 years. Instead of disturbing him any further and turning him into sawdust, the loggers decided to donate the tree to the Southern Forest World, a museum and tourist attraction in Georgia. Over the years, he's remained the museum's top attraction. But you must be wondering, how did his remains mummify naturally, and why didn't his body decay? Well, normally when animals pass away, microorganisms from inside the gut start acting like nature's own recycling crew. Bacteria that normally live inside the intestines begin to break down the soft tissue, and fungi, insects, and scavenging animals feed on the remains, speeding up decomposition. I know, gross, right? But in Stucky's case, being wedged in the tree made all the difference. The tannins, which are natural compounds in the bark that help protect the tree from bacteria and fungi, soaked into the body and dried it out. Tannins are especially good at stopping decay because they bind proteins and other chemical parts of the tissue, making it too tough for enzymes to break down. That's exactly why tannins are used in taxidermy. Well, on that slightly unsettling note, let's move on to something a little more heartwarming. George Bailey, the sulcata tortoise, is living proof that slow and steady can still win the race, especially with a little extra help. Born with metabolic bone disease, George's rear legs never fully developed. And while his legs still have some function, they're far too weak to support his 70-pound frame. This is a significant challenge when sulcata tortoises, native to the Sahel region in Africa, can grow over 200 pounds and live for more than a century. Left to his own devices, George could only drag himself along using his front legs, making everyday movement difficult and exhausting. Enter Jamie Lobener, George's devoted owner, who rescued him from an exotic animal rescue in Knoxville, Tennessee. Understanding that George's long-term mobility was at stake, Jamie reached out to Walkin' Pets, who designed a tailored wheelchair for George. This isn't just any cart. It features a rolling base and a harness that secures over George's shell, with extra cushioning to match the convex shape of a sulcata's undercarriage. The all-terrain wheels allow him to explore both indoor and outdoor spaces comfortably. George adapted immediately to his new wheels, and while he may not be the fastest tortoise on the block, he can now roam, stretch, and live more independently than ever before. Forget the hair. This is Tortoise in the chair. Oh, doesn't that just melt your heart? For more uplifting tortoises, why not check out my video on the lucky people who found the best things in thrift stores. Thanks for watching.